This week I've been driving the 2020 Volvo XC90. This is the top of the line T8. So it has a supercharged, turbocharged 313 horsepower gasoline engine in the front and an 87 horsepower electric motor in the rear. It's a plug-in hybrid. It goes 20 miles or so on a full charge. So if you're just doing local driving, you could potentially use this without using very much gas at all. This week in my use, I've averaged 51 miles to the gallon in a 3-row, 6-seat SUV. Pretty awesome. New for 2020 this year, they've added captain's chairs in the rear, which are very nice. They even fold flat, which is great. Tons of space. I love what Volvo is doing with their interiors and design these days. And their plug-in hybrid powertrains are really good as well. The materials are top-notch. Even this key fob feels nice. Napa leather, beautifully finished. This XC90 has the air suspension, so you can lower it if you want a little bit easier load height for the rear. You have to hold the button. And you can raise it up if you're going off-road and want a little bit of extra ground clearance, which is always nice. Little space here to put all of your charging accessories and things. And then looking at the third row here, it looks like you have to kind of climb in and pull everything up manually. But as you can see, there's actually a good amount of space behind the second row. Very easy to operate. Everything is lightweight. You get a cup holder, a little storage bin, some air vents. Air suspension raises and lowers pretty quickly too, which is quite neat. Speaking of which, let's show you the ground clearance this thing gets in off-road mode. So it really raises up quite a bit. And then in off-road mode, also the engine will kick on just to give you a little bit of extra power for the four-wheel drive system. Look at that ground clearance. That's Range Rover levels of wheel gap. And a pretty good approach angle, very flat underbody. I was watching some YouTube videos earlier of these XC90s bombing through the sand dunes. It seems like they have a pretty decent amount of off-road capability. With the traction control system on and like a twisting situation, it seems like it could use a little bit better programming for off-road driving, but it seems like it gets through most situations, and it just appears to be grip and tire limited. Bowers & Wilkins stereo. I mean, this is a $87,000 XC90, really top of the line. It's expensive, but if you compare it to something like a Range Rover SVR or any of the offerings from Mercedes-Benz, this is half the price. And I don't think it's any less luxurious or less nice. If anything, I prefer it because it's a little bit simpler to use and it has everything that you need out of a luxury vehicle. So we won't spend too much time. We've driven a lot of XC90s in the past. It's very comfortable. It's very spacious. You get beautiful climate controls back here. This nice panoramic sunroof. The interior and the layout and the design and usability is the same as every other Volvo. You get your cool little Swedish flag here on the seat, and just some of the best materials at any price point. I think the build quality and the fit and finish of everything in these Volvos is just top notch. You get this cool little crystal shifter here too. Lots of cameras. Really nothing new here. The cameras are nice for off-road driving too. And this infotainment system, it's good. I would like a little bit better responsiveness out of it, but it's so simple in how you use it, and there's really only kind of 3 menus to swipe through. It's great. The more I use it, the more I like it, and I have gotten used to it after driving the whole Volvo lineup over the last few years. So right now we are in, it's called Pure mode. So this is kind of the electric eco drive mode. And there's hybrid everyday use. And you have this split display here on the gauge cluster. It has a bar for electric, and then it transitions over to oil, to gas. And in Pure mode, it gives you just a little bit more electric power, which is cool. And it also lowers the ride height to give you better aerodynamic efficiency. So we can get up to speed here. We can drive very normally up to highway speeds in pure electric mode. It says we have 21 miles of electric range on our battery meter. And for the most part, I've found the range estimates to be pretty accurate. Officially, it's rated for 18 miles of electric driving, but depending on your situation, how fast you're going, how much stop, start, traffic you're in, that could vary. The electric powertrain in this is completely smooth. It's butter. It's dead silent. It's fantastic. It's super, super comfortable. These T8 hybrid powertrains also feature a hold mode, so you can maintain the level of battery that you have charged up to. And they have a charge mode where you can charge this while you're driving on the highway, and the engine will charge your hybrid battery, so that, let's say you're going to be doing some city driving and you want to top it off, you can do that. The air suspension in this is incredibly comfortable. It really, really soaks up some of the road imperfections and larger undulations. It's a very nicely tuned system. And there's also a regenerative B braking mode that will give you a little bit of regeneration when you let off the throttle. It's not as aggressive as some full electric cars. It's not like a Tesla where you're gonna really slow down from speed, but it helps just kind of let you on and off throttle modulate your speed through traffic. Let's throw this into power mode for sporty driving. Let's see how this does in a performance situation. Feel a little bit of torque vectoring there, giving us some rotation from the rear axle. It's pretty quick. I mean, you know, this four-cylinder isn't the best sounding engine, but it's pretty unoffensive and kind of works in the background. I love the ability to switch between these different drive modes, drive a lot of miles on electric power only. I think there's just something so cool about getting great fuel economy numbers out of such a big full-size SUV. The brake pedal feels completely normal. None of this weird hybrid regen squishiness going on. This is definitely one of those cars that does everything pretty well. It would make a fantastic daily driver. It really, really would. There are no concessions to, anything except for maybe the added complexity of the powertrain. So I think if you're shopping a Range Rover or something in the luxury SUV segment, you can have this for a little bit less money, and it has pretty much the same capability and clout and look and feel as some of the more expensive stuff. Volvo is a lovable brand, and even today they're still making lovable cars, I think, that kind of evoke a little bit of emotion out of the ownership experience. The standard XC90 never really stood out to me as being a potential SUV that I would want to own, but this T8 completely changes that. And when you combine this gasoline and electric powertrain, it's just so good and so satisfying to drive. You definitely don't need it, and you would save a ton of money going with a lower end model, But the driving experience, I think, is kind of worth the extra cost. This feels and drives like a vehicle in its price point. And its versatility backs that up too. The power in this is pretty good. You know, it's a smooth 400 horsepower. It kind of creeps up on you a little bit. You're never quite wanting for any more power. I think it's quite adequate. Here we are going almost 70 miles an hour on the highway, full electric. Probably a situation where we want to put it into hold mode. But honestly, if you're doing short little stints, it pulls pretty well too at highway speeds. Brakes feel good too. Lots of different drive modes for different driving situations. Hybrid is kind of a nice everyday mode. I tend to prefer pure mode. It gives you just a little bit more efficiency, but it doesn't completely dull your throttle response. The steering is very light, very accurate. It feels nice and tight, but also very low effort. Pretty good turning radius too. This particular XC90 has the 21-inch wheels. My only complaint, I'd probably swing for a smaller wheel and tire size. I think the smallest wheel you can put on this is a 19 and get some meatier tires that can maybe handle some off-road use. That would be my XC90 of choice. Yeah, this thing definitely is quick. I mentioned cruise control earlier. It's a great system. It works flawlessly in traffic. Pilot assist, lane centering can be a little bit finicky, but it is good for when you need to take your eyes off the road for a few seconds. Mostly though, I'm just using the adaptive cruise control. Up and down for 5 mile an hour increments, hold for 1 mile an hour increments. It's an easy system to use. Alright guys, well that kind of sums up the XC90 for me. This is a car I would love to own someday. This is just a beautiful, beautiful overall package. Let's park this thing, do one more walk around, and I think we can go into the Bowers and Wilkins sound system test from there. I do love the lightness and maneuverability of this car. For how big it is, it really hides its size and weight with the chassis tuning, the steering, the way everything kind of comes together. And I think it looks really good too. This is a new grille, I believe, for 2020 as well. Beautiful design. Great looking wheels. You still get a little bit of meat on those 21s. Alright guys, thanks for watching. We'll wrap the review portion of this video up there. Stay tuned if you want to listen to this Bowers and Wilkins audio system. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. This Bowers & Wilkins bumps. It sounds great. With a nice high quality audio source, it's a really, really good sound system. Pilot assist is killing it too. I haven't touched the wheel in about a minute. So it won't avoid potholes. If I had one complaint, there's a few little rattles in and throughout this interior. They come and they go. Overall though, just a great luxury SUV. Would love to have one of these in the garage someday. It's a fantastic overall package. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.